What's going on, guys? It's your boy Andy Matrix, and I am here at the Motley Fool. And the Motley Fool is supposed to be a analyst company, right? They take data from the market, and then they write articles. They have their own media publishing website. But I a lot of these people that write these articles about comic books, the comic book industry, it seems that they cannot admit defeat, right? So here at the Motley Fool, it says, with great sales comes great instability. Can superheroes survive oversaturation? Oh, man. And basically, they're talking about the comic book industry and how his revenue has been increasing. They talk about, how the comic book industry has dropped and gone up. Basically, it just has this, V-shaped pattern when it comes to their profits. I think in the 70s, the comic book industry dropped, and then back in the 80s and 90s, it recovered again. There was a boost. It says, while the 1980s boosted general market appeal, the critical acclaim books of Frank Miller's The Dark Knight's Return and Alan Moore Watchmen's 90s are not remembered for the quality writing or artwork. So comic books have gone up and down, but they talk about all this crap about the comic book industry. It says by the start of 1993, the comic book industry saw a record 800 million in sales, from up to 500 million. And you know what? That is true. That is true. But this is where it gets me. This is where it starts to bother me. Back in 2012. Now, if you would have told me that in 2012 the comic book industry was doing absolutely great, I would have believed you, because during that same time, Tokyo Pop basically went out of business. So comic books did not have a lot of competition back then. Yeah, manga was popular, but comic books they still rock, they still rule, And back in 2012, the Iron Man movies came out, and the first few Marvel movies came out. So there was a lot of rage, there was a lot of love for comic books. But once it gets to 2017, says this is the comic book industry is worth $1 billion in sales. This is a lie, because around this time, that's around the same time that the industry started dying with all these ideologies and all these things that they were pushing. And then here it says 2021 it reached $2 billion. That $2 billion, more than 60% of that comes from manga sales. Okay, more than 60% of that comes from manga sales. And if we go to comicbook.com, even comicbook.com admitted that manga and webtoons publishers are dominating the comic book industry, right? They even released a chart talking about all of the major comic book publishers, 2021, 2020, right? In the top 5, they're all Japanese companies: Shueisha, Kodansha, Kadokawa, Shogakukan, Kakao, and at the very bottom is Marvel and DC, right? So it is the Japanese companies that are making billions from comics, not the American companies, right? And on top of that, as far as digital sales, okay, Amazon closed down their website, their Comixology website, which they basically just merged it with their Kindle program. And so no, comic books, even digital sales are not helping comic books, because most sales are still paperback. 90% of sales are still paperback. And then, Amazon digital comic platform Comixology reportedly lays off employees. This is coming from GeekWire. So they actually started firing people, laying people off, because Comixology is not doing so hot. Go figure. So this is a lie. This chart is a lie. I think, again, what they're doing, they're just mixing sales numbers from manga with comic books. They're just mixing it in. Okay? Manga is absolutely dominating. As a matter of fact, I bet you they're not even counting in indie publishers, basically self-published comic books, from Indiegogo, kind of like Clownfish TV did. Keanu Reeves published his own comic book, Berserker, Young Rippa. They're not counting those. So this sales chart is an absolute lie. That's $2 billion. More than half of that is coming from Japanese comic books. aka Manga. So whatever your thoughts are, make sure to comment below, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for future notifications. It's your boy Andy Matrix. Godspeed.